I was gonna say family values that were instilled in our families, that we're carrying on with our families and our children carrying on with their families. Yeah, I think that would be a good.
And since we're getting more light out there, why don't we trade
Okay.
places so that we can kind of get it from there? Because that last part was a little, you could see this,
Holy mackerel.
the light coming through.
Chris, you need some strong coffee to survive?
Move these to the side.
No, we missed the view, Robert. Look at this. Straight shot of the river.
That's the river, it is, isn't it?
You all organized this very good.
Oh, well, this has
wouldn't
been
call it
fun.
This is Melinda's thing, right?
I know.
She's an expert at this stuff.
You know, we were talking about this at breakfast one day.
Yeah, well, that's where I got the idea.
We talked about.
Now, Arthur,
That's
Dad,
like a-
I'm gonna need y'all to come together a
Well, I'll show
little
it to her when
closer.
we're done.
You're not gonna believe this.
These roads.
Bingo game for the kids to play in the car.
For them to look once they cross the state line.
Oh, neat!
Here, let's see, do I have another one?
Where are we, into the hills?
Once they cross the state
No,
line,
we're at
they
Arthur's.
have to farm
This is Arthur's house.
Oh, where, all right, we're,
Things to look for.
Oh, cool.
Linda, you must have,
That's very
This is my
touching.
husband.
It's gonna be.
Isn't that fun?
well, see, the compliment to you, Belinda, is that,
Okay,
Okay,
so
wait.
we're back on.
Okay, so, grandmother and granddaddy Bell, we want to kind of wrap
Can
this
you
thing
try to, well, just Arthur, if you can turn your chair
towards Robert.
towards Robert. No,
Yeah.
that's good. Okay, perfect.
that's gonna break the
Okay,
camera.
Yeah.
okay.
So,
Excellent light.
as we wrap this up and we think about,
We'll make sure and include
Go
this in
ahead.
the clip.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Linda, what do you think? Only Arthur.
I gotta stay organized, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you gotta have your stuff.
Gotta have my stuff, that's
Yeah.
right. I mean, it's like losing my list of things to do. Go ahead.
So as we wrap this up, and we come to a conclusion of this, again, you know, our goal was to capture some stories and memories on video in terms of what life was like in Kerrville and growing up as a Bell kid. Are there perhaps some if you could give 3 pieces of advice to the generations coming ahead in terms of values and takeaways that you've learned from life growing up as a Bell on a serious note, what would those things be?
I'll tell you right now.
And a lot of them are going to be kind of like value items or,
I'll
you know,
tell you right
philosophy.
now, the object is not to be so serious about everything. The object is to be positive, upbeat, and encouraging, and not take everything so seriously and see everything from a positive light and an encouraging light.
I have nothing to add to that. That covers it well.
I have
What about family values?
You know, I think the Bell family has tons of family values.
Important to pass on to the kids?
Absolutely.
Well, I think they'll pick that up. I really do. I think I can see it in Bill's family. I can see it in everybody's family.
what are some of the things that you see, that you notice, that you feel like have carried through?
Well, look how they
They belong to good churches. They go to church. They're doing a fantastic job of raising their families. They have their heads on straight, and we let our children know that we are there, are here to help them.
Mm-hmm. Dad, were you going to add to that?
Well, I can see it in every family. I can see it in, obviously, in your family. Look what you've done. I can see it in Ben's family. I can see it in Bill's family. So, I mean, they've picked up something along the way that's important to them. And whatever it is, it's good. So without being able to put a name on it, they've picked up something that's very important and they're practicing it in their daily lives.
You know, last night when I went with you, Dad, to the potluck at First Presbyterian, I had a retired doctor come up to me and say that he had taught a Sunday school class that Granddaddy Bell went to almost every single Sunday
At
for
Trinity
years,
Baptist,
for years and years and years.
which is right around the corner from
Wow.
our house.
Yeah, and I had another retired doctor, or actually it was the same doctor, tell me that Granddaddy Bell was his patient. And back then, they didn't pay money. Doctors didn't pay other doctors when they would
Right.
go to visit. But that after he would see this, after Granddaddy Bell would go to see this doctor, he'd walk out and insist on paying the receptionist money for his doctor visit. And that really made a huge
Yeah.
impact on what a good man Granddaddy Bell was,
Yeah,
which I thought was
that
really
was good to hear. I'm glad you heard that.
yeah. Because when I think of Granddaddy and Grandmother Bell, I see integrity, I see their faith as being huge, and I see a ferocious, I don't even know if that's a word, love for their family. I mean, just an incredible love for their family. They put family, you know, high up there.
Well, I hear that all the time at church, because that's the church they went to. Well, and really all over town also, but especially at church, members will come up and say things like that, and say that they knew our mother and father, and how much they enjoyed knowing them, how great they were. And I hear that all the time at the Presbyterian Church.
Yeah. Robert, you were talking about your mom and how she liked to travel. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, she loved to sell World Book encyclopedias and got,
She was good at it.
yeah, you bet she's good at it. Got travel vouchers the more she did, and
Really? So
she was always on the go.
she was able to travel because she sold the encyclopedias.
Yes.
I didn't
She
realize
won
that.
won the trips.
Oh.
She had one, yeah, they'd offer trips and she'd go after them and sell enough encyclopedias and went, you know,
Well, tell,
Now, was
She went
this
all over the
after y'all had graduated
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
gone off to college then?
yeah.
Okay.
Did she work when you guys were at home, or was she a
No,
stay-at-home
no.
mom? She was a stay-at-home mom.
She may have taught substitute school every once in a while, but she was a homemaker. She wasn't.
Okay.
did she
career.
teach when she got? Did she teach at San Jacinto English when she
I
got
think,
out of
yeah,
Rice?
yes.
Did you?
Somebody we know was in her English class at San Jacinto. Was it your mother? Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, Aunt Georgiana's mom.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
You're kidding.
Wow, was in Grandmother Bell's.
Well, that's the first I'd had that
English class.
verified that she taught at San Jacinto.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Well, I'll tell you another thing I was going to say about her. In fact, I've seen the yearbook in Rice of 1922, her picture in there where she graduated
Yeah.
in the class of 22. And that was back when women didn't go to college at all. And for her to go through that
Yeah.
and graduate,
From Rice. That's quite an
amazing.
accomplishment.
Yeah, I wonder how many girls were even in that class.
she probably got a lot of razzing for
Sure.
being in school as a lady, but and she did major in English, I think.
Yeah. I do remember Grandmother Bell. I would write her a letter and she would send it back to me corrected.
I can believe
With red lines.
Because there were lots of mistakes.
it. I can believe that.
Yeah,
That's why I never did write letters.
yeah. I kind of quit after that. I did. But it was,
That's pretty funny.
isn't that funny?
What would she think of spell check
Oh,
in
wow.
Word?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
She'd
it's
probably
all
be,
automated now.
she'd probably be all over it, you
Yeah,
know? I
yeah.
mean, she was always on the cutting edge, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. Yeah. Well, she instilled love of travel in me, for sure.
How was your trip with her? To
I
South America?
went to, she took me with her to visit Uncle Donald and Aunt Connie in South America, and it was awesome. I mean, it was just incredible. And it was so much fun to get to know Donald and Connie and their kids. And I was playing some stupid game on their balcony and fell. I don't know if you remember that,
I do
Dad. I
remember.
fell
That
and
was
got the
crazy.
wind knocked out of me. And
Good
then I
night.
also went with Elizabeth to a candy store the day before we were flying out of Lima, Peru to go to Quito, Ecuador. And I went to the candy store and I took every last bit of my South American money and bought all the candy that I could. And I didn't want Grandmother Bell to know that I had bought all that candy, so I stood there and ate it all. And then on the
Mother
plane
didn't
to
make you
Quito,
sick.
Ecuador, I threw up all the way to Quito, Ecuador. But she never knew. She thought I had a virus. She never knew I had eaten all the candy. That was not a proud moment.
Wait a
Yeah.
minute, why did you eat all the candy?
Because I didn't want Grandmother Bell to know I had spent all my money on candy. So I stood there in the candy shop with Elizabeth and just ate it all. And then I threw up on the plane the whole entire way. It was awful.
Were they living down there then?
Yeah, they were living down there.
And
It
where,
was
in
so
Quito?
cool.
Ecuador?
No, they were in
Lima?
Lima, Peru, and Connie had relatives in Quito, Ecuador, because I remember going to Quito after that. But I remember seeing the Panama Canal, remember seeing llamas and buying a llama poncho that I had that was so cool. Loved that poncho. It was brown with white fur around it. Oh, just
You
thought
need
it was
to
a
tell
cool
Donald
thing.
that story.
Oh, I will. I think he knows it. I think we talk about it at every reunion. Elizabeth and I talk
So
about
when
it.
did Donald, so they moved to California when?
Well, he was in South America selling his mutual fund
Yeah, he was selling.
In South
at
America.
one time, all over South America.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where he met Connie then, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But after he finished Rice, he went to the American Institute of Foreign Trade in Phoenix.
Really?
It's now called another name, but the school's still there. It's
Wow.
under a different name. And then, I think even then he spoke fluent Spanish.
Wow.
So, and that's what led to his mutual fund in South America.
Wow. Do you remember when he moved to California?
Yeah, it was probably, 30 years ago.
He
The
was.
70s? Because Philip and, no,
Natalie, they were
Philip and
born-
Natalie born
They
here.
were- Yeah, or in Lima, one of the.
But Elizabeth was born in Ecuador, right?
I don't know that.
Okay. I thought so.
Well, how many children have they had on their own, and how many have they, or how many have, yeah, how does that work out? How many
Connie,
children?
Connie had been married before, and she had one daughter, I think,
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the rest of the family, I think, is Donald and Connie.
Yeah,
Which are the twins plus
David.
David.
Yep.
yeah. Yeah.
But the one that was recently divorced was Connie's, Connie's daughter. Is that right?
Yeah, it hasn't been so
Is
recent.
that Elizabeth?
Yeah, it was years ago.
That's right.
She
How long,
was, she
how
was,
long was Elizabeth married? She had a long time, wasn't she?
Yeah.
she was here with an Italian guy one time, and is that the one that she divorced?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And like,
that stuff we don't want in the video, okay? Just saying. Take all that out, whoever is editing, okay?
We'll put this at the very
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, you can erase that part.
I shouldn't be
So-
asking that anyway. I just-
so-
Yeah, yeah. No, and we can,
Yeah.
we're gonna be able to go through here and edit what we don't want in here or bad moments.
Yeah.
And again, we're gonna end up with probably about a 15-minute,
Yeah.
20-minute
Yeah.
video,
Yeah,
you know, after it's all said and done.
yeah.
What other trips did you take with Mother?
I think that was it. I'm trying to remember, I have to think.
So here's my question for Arthur Bell family. Do y'all recall the year that y'all had purchased? We are, by the way, at Rio de las Rocas. We are at Rio de las Rocas, Arthur's place.
Oh,
Do y'all recall the year that y'all had moved here? Or not moved here, but purchased the property?
January of 1980
January of 80. Okay,
is when we bought the property.
okay. And Dad, y'all moved here July of 2006.
I have no idea.
Well,
I
wait a
believe
minute, we
it's-
didn't move here. That's
Right.
off the property. We went back and forth about every other weekend. Just, you'd spend all weekend getting everything perfect, then we'd leave Sunday night.
Right.
Then you
Back to
leave
Houston.
Sunday night and go back to
You know,
Houston and work.
But what's so amazing is that you guys didn't even want to move to Kerrville,
Yeah,
you know, and you have both ended up back here. Yeah.
and I think Donald would too, except they like San Francisco so much, and I think she likes San Francisco.
Right.
so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And plus, there's a probation, I think some sort of probation
Warrant,
requirement
warrant.
that keeps, that keeps y'all back here in Kerr County.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's not keeping Donald out.
No, it's
keeping him here.
gonna require,
Why do you think I took the Citizens-
Robert and Arthur.
Why do you think I took the Citizens Police Academy and the Sheriff's Citizens
Yeah.
Academy?
That was another
Go
requirement.
easy.
Funny stories.
Doesn't hurt it.
I do remember driving to Tybee on my Cushman and
What's a Cushman?
the motor scooter.
Oh, okay.
Little motor
Okay.
scooter. And my hair froze. When I got to school, the hair was just solid ice. And they were,
Yeah,
it was so
now
cold.
now you don't have to worry about that.
No, I know. I should have shaved my hair then.
Where was Tybee High School back in those days?
Tybee Street,
Okay.
which is, they have, do you know where Tybee Street is?
I saw it on my GPS.
Okay, and, well, they have built a junior high in front of the old school.
Okay.
But behind it, they have preserved half of the school that we actually went to. It's been preserved, and it's where the administration offices are. It's been remodeled. Has the
But
same-
that is where y'all went to school then?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
It's been remodeled for the executive offices. It's got the same stone outside that you see, and that's where it is. But you wouldn't see it driving down Tybee Street. You have to go around the back
Okay.
and see where the administration building is. It's really nice. It's been well preserved. But the other thing I remember is I had a 34 Ford with a rumble seat that I bought from Ed Richardson's brother, who worked for the telephone company. What was his name? Ed Richardson's brother. But
Was it
anyway,
Bobby?
Bobby Richardson, yeah. And he
that
said
it?
it was the fastest car in town. So, and this is a 34 Ford with a rumble seat. I probably bought it for $100. I don't know what it was, but at any rate, for gas, we would go around to the different gas stations and just drain out the gas that was already in the. So after 5 or 6 stops, we'd end up with a gallon of gas. The gas was already in the hose. And guys used to laugh about that, Harvey Bruns and Ed and all those guys at Kilgore. After 5 stops, we had a gallon of gas, and we'd go cruising around, and the guys in the rumble seat.
Yeah, I learned my siphoning skills, I think, maybe 16, Dad?
What?
My siphoning skills, siphoning gas.
Yeah.
And one of the places would stop would be Rudolph Staling. You remember him?
Yeah, yeah.
Rudolph Staling Gulf Station. Actually, it's right across the street from Shellhaze's house, I think.
It's a block west.
Or block one. And I think that's where the bus came in, the Kerrville bus.
That was
We've
way
got-
back.
Either there or the Peterson Hospital underneath there, one or the other.
What is that?
Oh, I spelled it wrong.
Okay, got it.
Building.
Okay, got it. Okay, so what, Robert, tell me about your roping skills. You know, you're in cowboy country. I'm sure you learned to rope something.
Oh, no, not me.
Yeah. Something maybe inanimate, something that, for a fun Saturday night.
Maybe something steel,
No, I don't know what
maybe
you're,
some trash cans,
I don't know what you're talking
some
about.
mailboxes.
I thought he was.
Now, tell me about being in rodeos.
What, rodeos?
Yeah, your rodeo
No,
experience.
I didn't have any.
I
Oh,
thought
yes, you did. Yes,
He
you
was known
did.
for bull riding.
No,
You
bareback.
bull-
He bareback, didn't
You
he?
bareback?
Something like that.
Wasn't he a bear? You were
Yeah.
bareback. You didn't
Yeah,
do
something
a
like
bull,
that.
I remember.
I think
You
he
tell
was,
him.
he was more.
No, I was in the library all that time.
Oh, no, tell about being in rodeos.
Georgiana, come on,
Georgiana may know more about it.
she bringing it up.
Yeah, come on, tell about being in the rodeo. About, what did you do in the rodeos?
I just sat around and looked.
Was Criders there at
He
the
was,
time?
uh,
Did you
yeah.
participate in Criders rodeo?
Yes, calf
Did
scramble.
you really?
Yeah,
And what did you do?
just sat around there and
No,
laughed.
what did you do?
He climbed the
Were
fence.
you the clown? Were you the rodeo clown?
No, not Robert, not Robert. wasn't
He climbed the fence.
No, come on, Robert.
seriously.
What did
I
you
climbed the
do?
fence
Robert,
and paid them yesterday.
this is going off. Tell them the story and then about your
There is
Saturday
no story,
night,
Georgiana.
Saturday night skills on roping. Tell them about the story about the rodeo and then the Saturday night skills on roping.
In a car?
Yeah, but tell them about the rodeo first.
Well, what about the rodeo?
What you did in the rodeo.
Well, I went to the rodeo and entered and did some
Okay.
stuff.
What stuff?
Back in,
Riding the horse.
hey, back in.
Why did you do it? Was it for adrenaline? Was it to compete?
It's compete, but I
Was-
never won anything.
You never won anything.
No.
But you had fun doing it, though.
Yeah.
Well, back in those days, you could just walk out of the stands and enter the next event.
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
It was very
Did you have your
informal.
own
Did
horse?
you have to sign a waiver?
No.
No,
Did you wear a helmet?
no, they kept an ambulance. No, they don't.
Did they require helmets
They weren't that-
like they do these
They weren't that
days?
sophisticated.
Yeah. So you did bareback riding.
Yes,
So is that where the horse is bucking?
yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So it's a wild horse, rope tied around its belly, and it's an angry horse. And
It's
you
a
get
what?
on it, it's an angry horse.
Well, I would be, I would be if I was a horse.
And you get on it and you ride it
Yeah.
for 8 seconds.
Try
And
to.
you're judged,
Try to.
try to, and you're judged on
Well,
that.
the question is, did you ever make it past 8 seconds?
Occasionally.
Well, that's good.
That's awesome.
I'm impressed.
How many times did you
must
do
go to
that?
Depends if the horse was breathing or not.
You must have gone to rodeo school.
How many times did you do that?
I have no idea.
Okay. Well, so tell us about Saturday night, how you would take your rodeo skills into a Saturday night. What would you do?
I
Yeah.
have no idea.
No, he would take them into the silver dollar, not the silver dollar in
she's trying-
Bandera.
No.
What Georgiana wants me to tell you about is roping garbage cans,
Okay, tell us about
but
it.
I never did that.
Yes, you did. Come on, tell the story.
What?
That's a good way to practice.
It's great practice.
Yeah, it is.
What,
It's
Georgiana?
great
What am I
practice.
Drive
missing?
by and rope a car, that's great, go ahead, that's how you.
No, what you do, Saturday morning they'd have trash pickup.
Yeah,
So Friday night, you'll get a rope in front of your teacher's house and rope the garbage can.
Wait a minute, how'd you find your teacher's house?
Well, you know where she lived.
Oh, you're
He
talking about
lived.
Miss Hardy?
Yeah.
Oh, all of them, okay.
So get up there and honk the horn. Lights come on. Some guy opens the door. You drag off.
Then you rope the garbage can.
You have the garbage can rope. You just drag.
Do you drag the garbage can down the street?
Yeah.
Did they come running after you on foot?
No, we're that dumb.
Where was the
They
police
can't.
department?
They can't outrace that car.
Where was the police department all this time?
I
we
have
don't
more-
want to
How
give,
how was it
Amen.
that y'all stayed ahead of the police?
yeah, that's a good question.
You know?
Because it was mining.
How, you
I'll tell
guys
how it
had to
was.
have really known.
I'll tell you how it was, because it was all minor Mickey Mouse stuff
Yeah.
that they wouldn't mess with.
Yeah.
Like the circus would come to town. We'd slip in the circus, climb under the,
You think
under the
Arthur
tent.
would sneak in a circus? He'd much rather play.
Yeah, Arthur would pay full admission, wouldn't he?
Oh, yeah. He'd much rather do that.
This is like today arresting somebody for slipping in the Tybee football game. I mean, they don't, nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's still laid back around here. You know, it's just, it's such minor stuff, they don't, that's how we stay ahead of the law.
Do it, have fun, but keep it minor.
Yep. Anything else y'all like to share?
Well, keep asking questions. You're coming up with some good ones. What else did Georgiana have on her list?
That was it.
That's it.
Well, let's see. I think,
Anything, what about Ned Morris, visiting Ned Morris while he was in the military?
oh, yeah, yeah. Ned was drafted, I went down to the draft board and I got turned down, believe it or not. Give you a little background. We all got drafted, everybody piled on the same bus in Kerrville. They took us down to Fort Sam for the physicals. And I had been coached by Robert Purdy. Remember him? He went to Baylor.
Okay.
He was in my Lamar 49 class, even though he went to Kincaid. And he said he got a 4F based on the fact that when they asked him about his eyesight, can you see the E? He said, no, just say all you can see is light. And I remember that exact expression. And so I wore glasses at the time. So when I had the eye test, that's exactly what I said. I can't see anything but light. So that right there
They ran a
got
4F and sent
got
you
me a
down the road.
4F,
Yeah.
4F. So I rode back on the bus by myself. After all these going away parties and fun and blasts and everything, then I rode back on the bus all by myself. I was the only guy that got rejected.
Uh-oh.
And back in that day, it was no disgrace to be a draft dodger. Everybody was trying to figure out how to get out of it.
Weren't they still doing it?
And this was for,
But Ned,
which war? Or was it
After,
what was it?
after two?
yeah, after two, probably Korea after.
After
Yeah.
Korea, okay.
So
But-
were you forced to go in and register for the
Selected
draft?
services.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah, that was back when they had the draft. I think
Okay.
they've done away with it now. But in the meantime, Ned did get drafted in Houston. You know, he was living in Houston, I was living here. So he got out to Fort Bliss. He was at Fort Bliss. So he invited me to come out and see him. I think Jack Poole and I went together. I'm not sure, but I think we drove out there.
And Ned Morris was the best man in your wedding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we went out to see him at Fort Bliss. And we actually visited with him in the barracks. And I don't think anything crazy happened out there, or did it? What-
He
remind me.
said something about, you slept in the barracks with him, and then I guess the
Yeah.
next morning when the
When-
bugles
when
went
the
off,
bugles went
you
off
wouldn't
at
get
5
out
in the
of.
morning.
you
I was
wouldn't-
the only guy left in bed. That's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And they were yelling at you to get up
Get
and
up,
get
yeah,
with
and I
the
was just turned
sergeant.
over and went back to sleep. They couldn't understand who this guy, citizen guy was.
And didn't you switch cars with somebody in Austin?
Yeah, yeah.
How, but at a stoplight?
At a stoplight, yeah,
You did what?
yeah. Yeah, who took,
Island.
Ned probably remembered
Yeah,
that deal.
tell that story.
Yeah, this guy's name was Curtis True. He's from Dallas. And we knew each other pretty well. And we either worked out together with the same fraternity or something like that. But at any rate, we were always joking about how bad our cars were. I had a old beat up Nash and he had a Hudson Hornet. And one time we were at a stoplight and we said, man, my car's not running. His wasn't either. Let's just trade cars. So we traded cars right there on the spot at the stoplight. I took his car, he took mine.
Well, who got the worst of the deal?
I got the best of the deal.
No.
That Nash was terrible. To go anywhere, I'd have to back. It would only back up, so I'd have to back up down
So it would only run in reverse?
It only ran
Is
in
that what
reverse.
you're saying?
I had to back up down the street. But at least in the process, I got a car that went forward. I forgot about that.
Good night. Well, Jeff, you got any good stories?
And
Yeah,
I
I
think we
think
got
we've got a
some
lot
great.
captured.
Yeah,
That's great.
we've done well.
I think we've done real well.
Now-
anything else on the list? Ned came up with some good ones. there.
No,
I forgot about.
that's it. I think what we want to do though in
Do you remember Ned
this
Morris?
summer
Yeah.
is
He-
do this with the
He's
three
been
of
calling
them.
Belinda
Get
direct to give her all
Donald,
this information.
maybe Paul
About what?
Leslie in.
The
Paul Leslie,
stuff we
for
did in
Wilma.
college.
Yeah, I think that's a good
Stuff you
idea.
did in college?
Yeah,
In college?
Would you want, I'm gonna shut this
Yeah,
off.
we
Would
were
you
roommates for a
want
couple of years.
You
to
studied it.
try to put something together and show it during the reunion?
I would like to, wouldn't you?
I think it'd be cool.
But I